Hello, in this video, we will learn what are 2D arrays. We have already learned that a single dimensional array is collection of values of fixed size for same data type referred by a single name and stored at contiguous memory location. Individual elements are accessible via index or subscript which starts from 0, indicating the element's position within the array. If you are not familiar with 1D array, you can go through my video on one-dimensional arrays. So what do we do when we have table of values like board games, theater seats, image patterns, speech patterns, etc.? We use 2D arrays. 2D arrays can be defined as array of arrays. It is organized as a matrix which can be represented as collection of rows and columns. When specifying an array, we specify the row size first and then column. So how do we declare 2D arrays? We know when we want to declare a single variable in Java, we give the data type such as int followed by variable name. When we create a one-dimensional array, we put square brackets either before or after the variable name. For two-dimensional arrays, we put a pair of square brackets either before or after the variable name. You can also put one on either side. It would compile, but it is not recommended. All of these are valid declaration of 2D array. Note some invalid ones too. You do not include size of the array in the declaration, so these would be wrong. Now this just declares the variable as 2D array. We still have not instantiated it. There are two ways. One way is to use the new keyword followed by the array type and specifying the number of rows and columns in bracket. As array is an object, it will automatically initialize all values of array to its default value of int, which is 0. You can use this method to create an 2D array of different data types like float, double, or even any other object. Now we did say 2D arrays are array of arrays. Let's understand what we mean here. When we say two-dimensional array of type int, it is really an object of type 1D array where each element in that array holds a reference to another int array. So you can actually at this point give only the row size and allocate single dimensional arrays to each row separately later. This also tells you we can have varying size in each row. However, for purpose of this video, we will stick to rectangular or square matrices only. The second method is that you can also declare and initialize 2D array in the same line. This creates an array with 3 rows and 2 columns with pre-filled values. Now in 1D array, you know you have length public instance variable which you could use anytime to get number of elements in the array. If you declare a 2D array like this and try using the length variable, you will see it does not give total number of elements in the array. It actually gives only the number of rows. So how do you get number of columns in the array? Here you can get the number of columns by specifying the row number. So ar0.length gives the length of number of columns at row 0 index. ar1.length gives the length at next row and so on. Since we have rectangular array, all of them return the same value and we can use the first index itself to get number of columns. So rows into columns gives the total number of elements in the array and we can use combination of these two values to traverse through the array. In any of these, if you try to give double subscript like this, it would be invalid and give a syntax error. And also if you try to give row index greater than 2, then it will give array index out of bound exception. Now let's understand how we will use indexes in the array. We know index of an array is the location of the value in the array. Let's take a 3 by 5 array as an example. In such an array, if you call arr.length, it will return 3, and if you call arr0.length, it will return 5. For a two-dimensional array, we need two indexes, one for row and another for column. Let's put in these index values in these boxes and understand them here. We know index starts from 0, so we will fill the rows and columns. So each cell is uniquely identified by row and column index. So the data in first cell is at row index 0 and column index 0. The next data is at row index 0 and column index 1, and so on. Note the last index for column is 4, which is 1 less than the length, as we have started our index from 0. In the rows, the last index is 2, which is 1 less than the row length. So if you try to access element at column index 5 or row index 3, you will get index out of bound exception, as we do not have any element at that index. So any index beyond that will give you exception. Now in the program, you would be asked to work on specific rows and columns, means you need to know how to quickly identify row and column indexes you will use. So if you are asked to process the first row, it is at row index 0, and if it is the first column, it is the column index 0. Similarly, last row is at array length -1, which is 2 in this example, and last column is at array 0.length -1, which is 4 in this example. If you are asked to process middle row or column, then it is array.length divided by 2 and array 0.length divided by 2 respectively. In square arrays, you could have questions which ask for diagonals as well. So if you see the right or major diagonal carefully, here row is equal to column. And if you see the left or minor diagonal, here row plus column are same, and if you add 1 to it, it is same as number of rows or size of the square. Now that we know about the indexes, let's look at different types of programs that are asked. The programs could be either print some part of the array, or find sum, min or max of the array, alter like swap rows, etc., or create an array like fill with prime numbers, check kind of programs like check for symmetry, or programs that work on two-dimensional arrays like to add or subtract. We are going to first cover different print questions in this video. Let's take this array as an example. For printing an array, we need to do traversal of the array. Since we have rows and columns, we are going to use nested for loops here, one to manage the rows and second to manage the columns. We first write an outer loop which manages the rows, so it will run from row index from 0 to less than row length. Then inside it, we will run another for loop which will run from column index 0 to less than column length. To note that in both we have used less than, as we know the last index is 1 less than the length of row or column. Now this is your basic loop which you will use for all processing as per the question. Suppose the question is to print the array. Here all you have to do is to add system.out.println array with row and column index. In the print statement, note whenever we reference index in array, row comes first and then column. Let's see how it works step by step. First, the outer loop will have row set as 0 and it will step inside the inner loop. Inner loop will start from 0 and print element at index row 0 and column 0. Then column will increment by 1 and it will print element at index of row 0 and column 1. Then it will come out of the inner loop and outer loop will increment by 1. It will again enter the inner loop where column will get initialized to 0. So now it will print element at index row 1 and column 0. It will again increment and print complete row and then go to the next row and complete the process. So this loop traverses the array row by row. You can also make it traverse column by column by just swapping the two for loops. Note there is no change in row and column position in print statement. Array index always requires row first and then column. If you run this, it will print column 0 first and then column 1. We will get it back to row-wise processing for now. But these programs have one issue. If you see the output, it is printing every element in straight line. How do we make it print like a matrix in a rectangular form? Can I just change the println statement to print and maybe put some space in between? Now what happens is that array is printed in one row. What we want is that after one complete row is printed and before moving to next row, we should go to next line to print. So what we will do is that after the inner loop is completed and before returning to loop for the next row, we will add an empty println statement. This will ensure that before we go to next row, we move to next line to print. If you see the output now, it is shown as a matrix. Now what if the program is to print only elements in the first and last row? You have learnt first row means row index is equal to 0 and last row means row index is equal to array length minus 1. So we will just add a if statement before the print statement to print only if row is 0 or array length minus 1. This will print only first and last row. Similarly, you can pick any specific rows or columns by just changing the if condition. Now what if we had a square and the program is to print the border elements of the square? We learnt earlier the condition for first and last row and column respectively. So this time in our if condition, we add first and last column too. But now when you run it, you will see the output is distorted. To retain the shape of the matrix, what we need to do is print space where we are not printing any element. So what we will do is put a else in our code to print space for all elements which we are not printing. This will help us to retain the shape of the array. Now the program could be to print only diagonal elements. We know major diagonal is where row is equal to column and minor diagonal is where row plus column is equal to array length minus 1. So we change our if condition to this and else is already printing space. This will print the diagonal as a cross. Now the program could be to print all elements below the major diagonal. If you see carefully at the indexes, all elements below the major diagonal have row index greater than the column index. So we just need to change our if condition to row index greater than the column index. This gives us the output of only lower diagonal. Similarly, to print upper diagonal, the condition is reverse. So we just need to change our if condition to row index less than the column index. This will give us the print of upper diagonal. Now what if the program was to print only numbers which are even? Here note now we are dealing with data in array, not indexes. Here again our traversal loop remains the same. What we will do is put an if condition that if array row column %2 is equal to 0, then print it, else print space. This will print only the even numbers. Again, you can modify this condition for odd numbers or check for prime numbers, perfect numbers, etc. In our next video, we will cover next category of program which are asked. If you have any doubt, you can reach out to us at simplycoding.in. Thank you and goodbye.